This is Dr. Pavan Soni. Today I'm going to talk to you about what propels you, what drives you, what's your prime motivator in life. Now, broadly speaking, I could think of 4 prime motivators. The first one is fear. The fear of not doing enough, the fear of not being there, missing out, the whole fear of missing out that we are living under today. Now, fear is the most primordial, the most primitive drivers. The fight or flight is a classic exemplar of the fear that motivates us. Now, if you are rushing to your office just because you are afraid that if you don't reach on time, you will be missing out on a day's attendance or you will be missing out on a meeting, and that's fear motivating you. If you take a late evening meeting or a weekend meeting on your office, then certainly it's a fear that motivates you. So the fear of missing out, or the fear of not being good enough, is a very big motivator for many people. In fact, many entrepreneurs start their enterprise because of the fear that if they don't do enough, they'll be in inconsequence. So I think fear is a very big motivator. But the only problem with fear is that fear always exhausts you. Fear burns you. Fear tires you. So fear is about if I don't do. So if you think of anything which the motivation is if I don't do, then you know that it is a fear which is motivating you. And it's okay to have fear, but if fear is the central position, then I think that's a cause of concern. So that's fear for you. The second is greed. Greed is about wanting more. So if you say to yourself that if I do this, then this happens, then I become rich, then I become famous, then I get more, then I become more powerful, I become my boss's boss and things like that, then that is greed that is motivating you. And no harm in having greed. Again, I think as human beings we have this disposition of amassing things well beyond our means and our need. But I think the problem with fear is that you never know what is enough. The people who have grown so rich have grown rich beyond what they are often even capable of, let alone what they need. So I think the problem with greed is that you do not know where to pull the plug. So fear is about if I don't do, greed is about if I, then this is what is going to happen. The third driver is duty, a sense of duty. Now, a sense of duty is still slightly more benign than both greed or fear, because in sense of duty, you are measured. You do it purely because you think that I'm accountable for certain aspect. So if you show up on time to your office and attend meetings, do your chores, motivate people, manage work, etc., and if you do it from a sense of duty, I think it's pretty fair, pretty straightforward. Armed forces could be an example where people operate from a sense of duty. Teachers can be operating from a sense of duty. And I think by and large, for a very large population of business people or self-employed or even employees at large or even homemakers, I think duty can be a very broad motivator, which is not bad at all. But the challenge again with the sense of duty is that in sense of duty you always operate mechanically. You are not operating emotionally. In fear, you are operating out of emotions. In greed, you're operating out of emotions. But when I take these emotions out, you pretty much become quite mechanical, quite machine-like, and that's perhaps the way duty is. So duty is the fourth one, which is I must do. However, the last and perhaps the most important and the most pious and pristine motivator that you could think of is love. You do it because you love doing it. In the sense, you just do it. So when you write a poem, when you play a cricket match, or when you are reading something, when you're playing with your kids, when you're writing a software code, when you're watching a movie, when you are doing a team meeting, playing a musical instrument, all of that, if you do it from a perspective of love for the very act of it, then you don't get exhausted. You don't even feel like the loss of time. Like this video which I'm recording, I don't think that I'm doing it from a sense of duty that I must do it, because neither me nor you are really in a dire need of this video right now. Certainly it is not out of fear, because even if I don't do it, I don't think much collapses around me. There's no greed that if I do it, then something else bigger happens. But I think it's from a love perspective that I love sharing my perspectives. There's no point in dying with all these ideas and thoughts in my mind. I'll toss it open to the people and let's see how it's been perceived. So I think if you can identify love as a primary driver for you, then it's going to make a huge difference. Because once you love something, only then in that aspect that you can really excel. If you pick a race which you love, then you don't have to really worry about others beating you up, because you have selected the race for yourself. Now, if I look at the entrepreneurial journey, you will realize that many entrepreneurs, when they start a business, they start from the perspective of love. They love doing something creative. They love being self-driven. They love drawing their own paintings. But very soon it turns up into greed. They want to grow. They want to become a bigger team. They want to be more popular. They want to put their hands in multiple things. They want to be doing this and that and a lot more, raise more capital. So that is greed induced behavior. And once they get enough, then fear kicks in. What if I lose? What if I'm not able to maintain my growth? What if I'm not able to retain all the people? What if I lose out on the spotlight? So that is fear. And then you must also have a sense of duty, that you have so many people working with you. You must look after them, their families, their gratuity and PFs and things like that. So there is a whole duty bit of it. And when you are lost into the mix of greed, the fear, the duty, you actually forget that you all started this with love. You know, it all started with love, and love has taken a complete sideline. So I think every now and then we need to take a pause, start questioning seriously that am I doing it out of love? And it need not be love for the whole of it. It need not be love all the time. But if it is not love at all, then I think it is not worth it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you should love driving to your office. It's okay if you don't love. Maybe driving to your office is a duty. But you should do something at the office which you love. It cannot be out and out fear, greed and duty. So love is important in life, even to motivate yourself to do something. And if you love something sufficiently well, and if you can find a meaning in it, then I'm sure the fear, the greed and the duty doesn't hurt you all that much. So I hope this was a useful bit. I would love to hear from you what you love. Thank you so much.